chosen Towers of Doom. Method will stick with first pick.
Towers is a map where Method has only played 3 times. They lost twice. Fnatic has played 4 times. Also lost twice. So a little bit better for Fnatic. Nothing crazy. Method has chosen it 3 times, which also means that since they played 3 times, they chose it 3 times, they have never played the map from a second pick perspective. Sorry, from a first pick perspective. Changes oftentimes drafting slightly. Not much to be said about it. Both teams okay on the map, so we'll have to see how that figures in. Interestingly enough, Towers of Doom has been played the exact amount as Sky Temple. Both of the maps are in the bottom 3 when it comes to quantity to amount played. Both of them 12 times, Sky Temple and Towers of Doom.
For me, this Battleground's always a focus on the top lane. Dehaka, Urel have been favorites here. You don't see much Blaze because he can't move as fast when it comes to the rotations between the top and the middle lane, but the focus being so much on that bot lane thanks to the sappers floating around. So I'm going to keep an eye on that, seeing what exactly we're going to have popped in. Maybe there's a chance that we get a Thrall. If anyone, I can see that coming in from Ethereal if Urel is taken away. But again, that top lane is a main focus for both of our teams.
I mean, again, there's a chance that we're going to see some triple melee. We've seen Liquid pull it off a lot. But I would look towards Dehaka, Urel again for the solo laner. So those are the obvious one. Then you're talking immediately about Blaze. Those are the 3 heroes that have probably the most impact on Towers of Doom when you're looking towards an offlaner.
I will say I'm starting to really enjoy Melee on Junkrat. It brings a level of safety to Fnatic that's been needed here. He's able to check down those bushes, drop down the grenades. He's almost taken the side lane soaking responsibility a lot on these Battlegrounds too, especially post level 13. He's been a very safe player with that type of character.
I'm curious about Junkrat because this is another map where you have very good interrupt potential with Junkrat's grenades through channels.
Yeah.
So I would actually be very surprised if he doesn't make it into the draft, either as a ban or as a pick. Most likely as a pick here. Oh, interesting start. Muradin banned out. Okay, so definitely starting to target some of the frontliners. This is also a map where Fnatic is a bit more concerned about Medivh than they were on Sky Temple.
Rightfully so. Jumping between altars, having a way out too, kind of takes away that natural defense you have if you're sitting between 2 forts, say the top left corner altar spawns. Medivh can kind of pop in with the rest of his team and pop on out.
I mean, with the pattern that we're seeing now from Diablo even banned out. Heavy focus on the tanks.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Let's ban them all out until we play Jhin. Let's go. What do you ban here if you're Fnatic? Stick with the Abathur ban? I think you have.
For Fnatic, Abathur is definitely a ban that you can definitely go for because you know AD already wants it. I mean, it's usually part of what you ban out against Method these days. You ban out Medivh, you ban out Abathur. They hesitate a lot though. But yeah, the slug would be what I would expect, but no, they go into a Genji ban instead. So apparently fully willing to deal with Abathur. But I feel we need to have a main tank first pick right now. I think this is maybe one of the reasons why Abathur is left open, because Fnatic is now in the spot where they say like, okay, now make your choice.
Yeah, tank or
you want Abby? Then take him now. If you still, with the 2 tanks that you just banned, one into a first pick on a tank, and there comes Urel instead. Alright. Are we going to see an Abathur composition?
Abathur being open changes everything.
Yeah, because you can... I mean, Abathur, Dehaka even, if you want to completely go for that. You could go into still a Deckard Cain opening here. I mean, there's a lot of options all of a sudden. The tank also, you have 2 tanks banned already. If you don't pick your tank now, then you might be in trouble, and they pick the tank.
They pick their tank.
Yeah.
I'll get it with an old man too. Hammer popping in for Fnatic.
Okay, so now if you're Method, you pick your main tank here, you ban out another frontliner, and you force Fnatic down a path. You can pick or ban Garrosh and Johanna, vice versa, and then you leave Fnatic basically with a Nuburak as an option, as one of the strong options here. Fnatic has played a bit of ETC, but I doubt that they're going to do that.
Wow.
Alright, ban 2 tanks and then don't take any.
Changing everything up here.
Phoenix Nazeebo. I mean, Nazeebo was even banned by a few teams on the Battleground by now, because I think, wasn't it Leftovers that banned it against Method just recently as well, because on this map, because of the late game scenario here? Nazeebo definitely sees bans at this point on the map, so yeah. Nazeebo banned out. Hammer and Nazeebo have this interplay where you're more or less guaranteed to hit your spiders, and therefore it's a great counter, and since Towers of Doom runs into the late game too, it's another great pick. But now Method is in a spot where They banned out 2 main tanks, haven't taken their own main tank yet. Ban out a 3rd? What? I mean, they want to go for Nubarak here, right? With Urel, you go for Nubarak with this setup.
Maybe they've been watching a little bit of Octalysis and decided they don't need a main tank.
Uther main tank.
With their main tank coming out, Diva main tank coming out.
There's still a Johanna. I don't think that Fnatic is really in a spot where they're like too worried about it. You think about Johanna and a Nubarak right now.
Yeah.
ETC to an extent, but okay, so there's Johanna as expected, Dehaka for the offlane. Abathur still open, but with Nazeebo picked on Method side, it's unlikely that they're going to go for Abathur. Usually we're having ADRD on Abathur, and he's also a Nazeebo player for them. I would still expect with Urel that you go for a Nubarak here.
Is there a chance for an Abathur solo support?
For what?
Abathur solo support for Curson? Could see with Urel, Nazeebo plays safe enough.
I would say no.
Let's find out. Stitches and White Main.
All right, Stitches.
Harsh Discipline combo. Slows for Urel.
Yeah, but that's 13.
Yeah, it's not an immediate combo.
I mean, hook into a zombie wall if you play it right.
Yeah.
It's a bit tough to really pull all that off. I mean, Stitches can be really powerful in Towers of Doom because you have so many areas where you have perfect vision on a channeling hero and you try to get that hook through. Junkrat, again, we talked about this at the beginning of the draft, that we expect the hero to come out. It's a bit later than I thought it would, but he's here. So, okay.
Fnatic's composition I immediately lean towards for this Battleground. They've got synergy already with RJ Hammer and Decker Kane. You have the protection from Junkrat. You got Dehaka on the field. But I will say, Method's draft has me curious.
That's a good word for it.
Yeah.
The bans had me guessing because I'm like, okay, you're banning out a lot of... I mean, I can't help myself, but I'm looking at a lot of the bans that they have here, and I see, for example, that they just keep banning out main tanks. I'm like, they still have to... It's really hard to ban main tanks out right now because there's so many good ones.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. ETC is one where we're always a bit concerned, but the Nubarak combo, if you're having a Urel, can be great. And in this setup, I could have seen them completely going into different bans here, trying to target the offlane, for example, eliminating the Dehaka, removing the global. Maybe even if they're more concerned about targeting play, so that they even on the last ban then went for Garrosh. Surprises me a bit because after I saw the initial 2 bans, I immediately jumped to in my head, okay, Johanna very likely.
Yeah.
But that draft isn't bad. Just a little bit curious how they got there. But then again, Fnatic starting to the left here with Mena on Junkrat. The team has the 1-0 lead. Breeze is on Johanna this time. Schwimpy is on Sergeant Hammer. We have Smexy on Deckard Kane. And Last Hope on Dehaka.
On the right, Team Method showing us a curious draft. ADRD on Nazeebo. Bad Benny will be playing Stitches. Nick over here playing Phoenix. Ethereal will be back on Urel. And finally, Curson on White Main.
So when we're looking at those heroes, there's a couple of things that I still want to drop when it comes to stats. And I mentioned Breeze on Johanna earlier. He's 8-1 on the hero now. 89% win rate. Really solid. Very, very strong Johanna player. The only one that has a better win rate, and that is with half the games played that Breeze has, is JPL, who hasn't lost a game with Johanna yet, but only played her 4 times. Hook comes out. ADRD, by the way, is already quite low. And yeah, we're also talking a lot about Dehaka, of course. I mean, it's a hero that Last Hope is known for. He has quite the impact on that hero. And I am very interested to see how Method is now going to play this game. They have the Nazeebo. For Towers of Doom, we've seen a bit more often. He's been used as a counter to Sergeant Hammer to just stack that Spider quest, and you end up in the late game. But I feel they're going to have to rely a lot on Bad Benny and creating good opportunities with the hook.
Bad Benny. Get that up here on the top. Now, what you're talking about last, the conversation we had yesterday was for Rookie of the Year. Our immediate vote would be for DAB. But I could see a silent Rookie of the Year going over to Last Hope, too.
You can see a what?
A silent Rookie of the Year. Maybe
what is a silent Rookie
Maybe a contender that comes up from the top and suddenly wins. You know what? You know what? Last Hope's actually delivered a lot for Fnatic and created his own little space on this roster. Not as explosive as DAB.
So I'm a fan of Last Hope in the sense that I think it's an accomplishment what he showed, making it not only into an HGC team, but immediately into one of the top HGC teams at the time.
Yeah.
And then able to catch up very quickly. But for me personally, he's nowhere near on the level of improvement that we have from DAB. Because DAB showed it for me throughout the entire year, whereas Last Hope came in on the second part.
Yeah.
And I would say that in a list, I could definitely see Last Hope. But DAB, for me personally, just has a huge gap to the next player that it could be considered as a rookie. But again, I feel that Last Hope has definitely shown a lot of improvement and has definitely accomplished quite a lot considering how much pressure was on him. That's something that DAB didn't have to deal with in the same extent.
True.
It's just the level that DAB is currently respected by everyone in HGC, every player that you talk to, that's something that he just simply hasn't reached yet. He might do that in the future, but when it comes to a potential Rookie of the Year award, my personal pick is without a doubt DAB.
No, I think I agree with you. I think I was just trying to figure out who would be in that discussion. And Last Hope actually came up for me as a possible opinion. I just feel like when it comes to the top lane, the meta is so hard on top laners, right? You've seen it so many times. And being able to stand up to a position that you are basically on your own for a majority of the game, and you have to make the right decisions or you screw over your team. I feel like he's really fit into that niche and fit into that role. So.
He definitely had an impact. We have a few games where he showed nerves, and there's others where he just absolutely excelled and hit every single ability that he needed to hit. So he had some impressive plays for sure. But also now we have the triple altar phase coming into this one. Nice seal again from Smexy, locking that down. Top lane also contested, not even going for that split that we oftentimes see, but instead we're seeing Ethereal starting to annoy Last Hope a little bit, fighting for that left side belt or the altar.
Seen that a little bit more. If you go for the one-for-one trade, you give Dahaka the advantage because he can immediately rotate down with a Brushtalker, and you forfeit the altar. But if you contest him and your team is able to not get picked, suddenly you slow down that rotation, you slow down the altars, build towards level 10.
You negate also the effect that Dahaka oftentimes has in this setup.
Yep.
Make it harder for your opponent to get 2 altars, trying to lock that 4 versus 4 down into the bot lane. But of course you also risk something with it. If there's a kill down there, then there could be a rotation topside that eliminates another altar for yourself.
Yep. Trust between teammates. Such as playing safe here. Ethereal slowly putting some damage on Last Hope. Last Hope has a decent amount of essence already built up. And they soaked up a couple of waves, so he can contest against that entire fight. And it'll get better too, especially with Feeding Frenzy at 7.
Top lane is in equilibrium right now. There's nothing happening there. This is just them. No one should really win this from the two of them, even not in the long run. You just need to buy your time there. So in the meantime, you just have to mirror your opponent's movements to make sure that they're not sneaking in the top right. But yeah, this is delaying everything. Shrimpy now has the hovering siege mode though, and that is a bit of a game changer here for that entire setup since he can get into much better positions. And Mena has had enough also with Ethereal and is starting to get the hell out of here.
Heads up there with some grenades. Yrel will run over the top right. But that gives time for Method to push in and force a fight, and they jump on top of Breeze. It is Johanna, so she has that Iron Skin. Iron Skin doesn't matter too much if you get locked into a Nazebo ball, but he's fine.
Last Hope came down though, immediately with a global, but didn't really get the chance to connect that drag. Heads up play by Phoenix, but the altar is still channeled because Method had to back off, and that gave the time frame for Fnatic. They needed to complete the channel, get the second altar, so now they have a small lead in the game.
Small one. Well, something manageable here for Method. Move over and start working on Sappers as we move towards that level 10. Typically when this altar phase ends, you're around level 5, level 6 tops. Pretty crazy, we're already on our way to level 8. Just shows the power of that delay. As Method's thinking about coming in for an invade, but you need to be careful. Your Stitch is here on that front line, and you're going for a W build. If you get locked in place, it could become a big issue for you.
Yeah, also we have Intercession taken for the cleanse, so that's a potential play that Curson can pull off to save someone that gets locked down. I'm a little bit worried also for Bad Benny once that we're seeing the Giant Killer coming into play here for Fnatic. Now granted, that is still a far while away, but at some point he will have to deal with it, and without a sustainable build, going more into damage here, that might be something where Stitches is going to struggle later on.
Yeah, he's going to really need the support of Yrel and Whitemane to provide those heals, especially when we get close to level 10 too. You talk about the Giant Killer at 16, but at level 10, now that you have a Stitches that has moved into his W build and feels a little bit less tanky, you can actually try to focus all of your efforts into burning him, and in isolation, hitting out of Stitches prevents a Devour. Good helping hand though from Bad Benny on ADRD as he was in trouble.
Yeah, that was well done. That was needed too, because that seal would have come in next, and you see the Dahaka already trying to close the distance for another drag. If that connects, then the Nazebo is just flat out dead. We haven't seen a kill yet in the game, but the pressure is definitely starting to amount to a lot down to the bottom of the map here because of that pressure play through Sergeant Hammer and the hovering siege mode.
Method winning the race to 10. They have Sappers pushing in the top lane too, so Fnatic needs to decide if they want to grab this altar now. Might not be able to now because 10 connects. Here's a hook straight on top of Sergeant Hammer. Damage coming out though, and Bad Benny answers back, and you can see how weak Bad Benny can be on that front lane when you have Stitches. Oh, but Schwimpy gets picked off. Great wall into a salvo.
Yeah, good job. Gary also coming out as the ult on the side of Nzebo. But Schwimpy definitely stayed in that area and he said like, okay, I'm going to get Stitches. So he takes Stitches down, but he falls since the zombie wall just pushes him in. Hand doesn't have the cooldown there ready. And now we have the altar is taken. And in this case, it was a single altar on the map. So Method is now tying it up in points on the core. But yeah, kill trade here to the bot lane. Still no choice for Hammer. BFG is a talent that we see most of the time, but of course the Napalm can be very good if you're trying to just push out the lanes and raise down structures.
Yeah, also for the lane too, on structures, because you get a burn effect on the ground too, with that Napalm. Still thinking about it here. I like the idea of BFG if they do want to commit to the idea of just burning Stitches, again, with that slam build coming online. Back to soaking for both of our teams here. Johanna with that Iron Skin can handle that front line, no problem though. More interest in the Sapper camps that have now spawned, and it is going to be a BFG pick, by the way.
Hediardi on the Nazebra. Riding in style for the Nazebra.
That horse always reminds me, did we ever get the Illidan Nightmare mount?
I have no idea. I'm only interested really in the money pick.
Yeah, that's true.
Some of the clouds are cute. But that's basically it, so yeah.
Are you an angry cloud kind of guy or happy cloud kind of guy?
You actually have to ask.
I would assume angry cloud.
Okay.
Okay.
It's fierce.
It would be funny if you rode the happy cloud though, you know?
Going in full on the memes. Also going in is Fnatic. They go for AD They might not even get the kill. They barely get it there towards the end. They were a bit hesitant to really commit more.
Yeah.
The Blessed Shield locked him down, and then the BFG as the combo setup drops the Witch Doctor. Gary the Gigantian is also realizing that without his master, there's just no point staying down there. So he immediately goes down as well. And Fnatic is taking a slight lead.
Looks hitting Swimpy again, but nothing to kill him. He's fine there. Dehaka grabs the yield to the top left. Breeze is actually delaying Ethereal. Ooh, actually, wow. Dang! Ethereal stared Breeze right in the eyes and said, I dare you. Got the altar. Future buy on the bottom for Smexy as he's trying to walk away. He has that Lornado, should be able to get out, but Last Hope comes over to help him. Isolation pops out and hits Nick.
Yeah, and well, we're going to talk about Urel at the top in a second, but first of all, let's see if we're seeing another drag connecting, because there's at least a chance that we're going to see another kill. 5 seconds until the Blessed Shield. Breeze has a chance of getting this out here. 2 more seconds. He can definitely get that. White Mane is already out. Blessed Shield is ready. Here comes the drag. Blessed Shield can come in. Doesn't even need it to get the second kill. Stitches falls.
Nick even getting a 5-man salvo is not enough. BFG didn't have to get used also. It was on cooldown during the entire fight, but still 2 picks coming in for Fnatic.
Let me quickly talk about why Breeze didn't interrupt the top right. So one of the reasons why you oftentimes don't want to contest your opponent's... Oh, nice kill against AR here. But one of the reasons why you oftentimes don't contest that altar on the top, even if you can interrupt, is that your opponent is running a Stitches. Because the problem is, the longer that fight is drawn out around that altar, the issue simply is that if you try and really delay it over and over again, Stitches makes that rotation, and then you can just simply get hooked into a bell tower. Yeah. So it's a really, really awkward thing to invade your opponent's altar in that situation. That's actually, sometimes you see Hero League games, or even in Team League you've seen games, where a team deliberately that runs Stitches doesn't take their own altar because they want to delay the game for as long as possible. Because you have to end with objectives, right? So from the perspective of Method, you could argue that if your only concern is to really get Nazebo into a position where he hits his level 20, you just delay the capture on your own altar, and whenever your opponent is trying to make a play there, you rotate Stitches in and then you get the hooks and try to hook someone over. One of the reasons why it doesn't quite work out for Method and why they might be hesitant to pull something like this is that Fnatic has Sergeant Hammer, which can then go to the other side of the map and try and raise the structures down and try and gain map control through that. So that's that small trade-off, but it's a weird dynamic when you see a Stitches on Towers of Doom.
I mean, speaking of that, bell tower being picked up, Fnatic has gotten the bottom bell tower, and now it's a Sapper game that you're used to. This gets compounded thanks to Dehaka being on the map, and Junkrat too, with that Ripper Air finally pitting here for level 13. Fnatic is in a very cushioned spot. All they have to do is play around hooks here, as Bib Bidding will be fishing, looking for some kills to drop some people into the kill zone.
Yeah, Fnatic is definitely in a very comfortable situation right now, especially, of course, with Dehaka even Junkrat in the mid lane pushing. So 2 lanes get pushed against Method as they are somehow trying to get access of their own bell tower at the bottom again. And it's nearly going to be impossible with this setup. What's important for Fnatic is that they're not getting caught in the middle or at the top.
Yeah.
So once that the bot lane calls, listen, they're not here anymore, you have to back off immediately. You just can't risk anything there.
One altar will spawn to the south right in between these 2 bell towers too. So Method has a couple of options, focus on level 16, or even move in for a boss play. They're thinking about trying to find a hook on Last Hope, but Last Hope, he knows something's up. He smells something. Yeah,
as a solo laner, you have to know when you can move out. Just look how careful he is. The team is calling and everybody's saying, listen, we do not know where they are. We don't have vision. We see AD already, but that's it. So he has Urel at the top, but who you go for? What do you think Method can do? They can maybe try and make a play for boss, or they can try to go for Last Hope. But if you are Dehaka, you just simply have to accept this is going to work out for you. So you give this one up, and that's about it. There's just no chance for Last Hope to do anything about it, not alone. There needs to be a rotation of Fnatic if they want to hold on to the bell tower. But they're completely happy to trade the control of top and bot lane.
3 altar phase spawns here. Sergeant Hammer stays in the bottom with Junkrat, gonna start to rotate on over. Smexy coming over and scouts out to the boss being grabbed. I think Fnatic will be able to contest this. As Johanna starts to walk on in. Last Hope coming too. Wait a minute, Sergeant Hammer floating in. Are they actually gonna go for this? Here goes the drag straight on top of Bad Vinny. And a Lornado. Can Breeze get on it? He does.
And Junkrat is just ripping in. He's coming in there. Shrimpy moves in too. Gets a lot of good damage out. Giant Killer is ready for him. That's the output they need. That Reptile comes through. Stitches goes down, and Fnatic takes the boss away. And there's still another altar. And with Stitches gone, you can channel that one. There's no one to really go for a long-distance hook and grab you on the other side. Fnatic is in a fantastic position right now.
And you have the potential to find your own picks as well. With Last Hope on that front line with that drag, anyone gets picked, and they can try to get rid of him quickly. ADRD wants to think about throwing spiders on the wall, but the shots are grabbed by Fnatic, and one boss attempt from Method has put them in a spot where Fnatic was able to take all the altars, take one of the boss shots, and now they are up 28-6.
That was 12 points taken off Method's score. Very, very well played from Fnatic's perspective. From Method's point of view, this could have been a situation where you trade 8 shots for 8 shots.
Yeah.
You get one of the... You could have... Yeah, you get the boss, you get your own, trade that against 2 altars taken from Fnatic, and then you're golden. But that boss really offset everything. And I feel like one of the big hopes of Method was that through them seeing Junkrat at the bot lane to channel the altar at the bottom of the map, they were hoping that they had enough time. But the rotation of Mena with the Rubber Air was just quick enough to go to the top. And good interrupt also with the Lornado and with Breeze and everyone else converging onto the point once it was taken.
I thought we actually were going to have Stitches try to position on this top left bell tower up here and try to find hooks over that altar and maybe find a pick or two. But...
Which one? Oh,
yeah,
top left?
Yeah, the top left. I thought they were going to try and reposition around that and then try to play for both the altars, but aggressive play from them to go for the boss does not pay out. Harsh discipline comes out on Johanna, but she has that iron skin. Urel is in a position to grab the Sapphire / rotate into the bottom lane as Method continues to play for that late game. 2 altars to spawn.
Siege Tactic is such a problem for Bad Benny because he can't really hook Shrimpy. Even if he hooks him, Shrimpy activates Siege Tactics afterwards and then runs away. And oftentimes you just simply see the hook completely dodged out by Siege Tactics being used. So that's a target where Benny just, Shrimpy just basically tells him, yeah, you can hook me all day long, I really don't care. Like, waste your cooldown on me, that's totally fine. Hammer is so resilient through that level 4 talent.
Used to be a direct counter back in the day, but that talent really helping out. Altar up for both these teams now.
This could be game.
Could be game if Fnatic gets both. Last Hope, can he stop that on the top? He does. Riptire out, and actually that was going to be a hook that hits Smexy, but Mene blows it up just in time, and Smexy gets the shots.
And that's 2 points on the core now. Method has to be careful. All right, Mene jumping out. Here comes the Blessed Shield as we're seeing them go in. BFG comes through. Shrimpy is in a bit of trouble, but so is Urel. Gets pushed back. Shrimpy caught, but no, the interrupt on the salvo just saved Hammer.
Wow. Wait, okay, potion comes out last second there for Smexy. Shrimpy somehow got that fight. I thought for sure he was dead.
Yeah, it really looked like he was down, especially with the salvo activating and locking him on it. But the interrupt against Phoenix just came in time. Now Urel is going to get the channel through for a Thero. That keeps Method in play for a bit longer, but 2 points on the core are definitely putting them onto a timer here. Since we're talking about a game that can end through a boss, through an altar, if you just start a barrage at some point, it's just over. And with Hammer, there's always that siege up potential. If you take control of the bot lane, the Mercenaries alone are just going to be so devastatingly hard to deal with. Fnatic is in a great spot here. They themselves are still on 24 core points.
Best case scenario for Method is to find a pick or two and then just try to take map control as much as they can so they can stop all those tools that you just mentioned from going over to Fnatic.
I mean, while Infection comes online on 20, so that's half a level away. We still don't see ADRD with all the stacks that he needs, though. He's sitting at 150. Very likely to complete the quest soon, though. He only needs another 25. Not even that. He's got a few more while we're talking about it. So another 15, 16. And he is in a position where he is going to get that damage output. So that's a huge spike for Nazeebo. But they're so far behind right now that coming back into this is going to be tough no matter what. Especially since you're going up against a global hero too with Dehaka.
Yeah. Which is another issue too. I mean, you just mentioned it, but 24-2 in shots, Fnatic has a possibility here. If they see a fight that just does not work out for them, if they don't want to step up on this altar, they can try to play a different route, take down a bell tower instead.
And you have the bottomless flask now also on Deckard Kane. So once you set up around an altar, we have a single altar in the game now. It's another great position here for them to be in. Great talent to siege up on a single objective. Breeze is already moving in. Here comes Dehaka. They go for ADRD, and he is completely in trouble. But a great hook from Bad Benny might have actually saved him here.
What a big tire from Mene. Putting damage onto ADRD. He gets the heals, but he gets out of that fight. Ethereal on that front line having some difficulty, though, as Schwimpy continues to creep on up and work in those auto attacks. Breeze, however, has had a little bit too much damage in the front.
Junkrat hops over. He starts the channel, and the Lornado keeps Ethereal away. It's like
Will it be on time?
An apple a day keeps the doctor away, and a very similar rhyme is also true for Ethereal here. Urel not able to move in, and that's the channel. Fnatic with win number 2. But I have to give credit again to Benny. I mean, that hook against onto Nazeebo, actually, if not for Junkrat's ability to close the gap towards the altar earlier and get the channel through, that would have kept them in the game for a bit longer. That was a great hook because ADRD was dead. He was just simply dead. Johanna moving in and Dehaka too, without that hook, he's just dead meat.
If the game was judged on being able to help your teammates and get the moment where you save them from death, Bad Benny would have won this game. He had 3 or 4 good helping hands. Sadly, he couldn't find the actual hooks on his opposing team. And part of that, again, the siege tactics from Sergeant Hammer makes it way too hard to hit that. Next target suddenly becomes Deckard Kane, but if he's playing safe enough, sitting behind Sergeant Hammer, you should never be able to hit him either. And that's why it was so difficult for Bad Benny to find those moments.
2-0. Fnatic looking strong. Now, there were a couple of reverse sweeps against them. We have seen that in part 1 of Phase 2, and it was one of the big problems for them why they didn't make it to the Western Clash as well. But Method stepping it up today, looking way better than last weekend, but they haven't won a game yet. So, as we said before so many times, at the end of the day, it matters how many games you win, not how good you look losing them. So right now for Method, they need to use that break to improve a little bit more, but it's definitely already them starting to find their rhythm. But is it enough to really start a comeback here in the series? Because Fnatic looks decisive when it matters. Yeah. And they now have taken a very, very solid lead where they only need one more map to take the 3rd spot, at least for the time being in the standings, and overtake Method.